In fact, let's go across live to listen to the spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs.
Shri Charanjit Singh and Shri Arun Kumar Sahu. Mr. Singh looks after Ukraine in the Ministry of External Affairs, and Mr. Sahu looks after Poland. So we have two additional secretaries also on the dais. With that, may I request Secretary West to make his opening remarks. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Randir, and good evening, all of you. I will first start with information about the visit to Poland, and then go on to the visit to Ukraine. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi will be undertaking an official visit to Poland this week on 21st and 22nd August at the invitation of Prime Minister His Excellency Donald Tusk. This is a landmark visit as Prime Minister of India is visiting Poland after 45 years. The visit takes place as we also mark the 70th anniversary of the establishment of our diplomatic relations between India and Poland. Prime Minister Modi had met Prime Minister Tusk on 4 occasions in the latter's earlier capacity as the President of the European Council. Prime Minister Modi had also held a telephone conversation with President His Excellency Andrzej Duda in 2022. Prime Minister Tusk had visited India in 2010. This upcoming visit builds upon a series of continuing high-level exchanges between India and Poland, which take place in various formats. During the first 4 months of this year alone, for example, there have been a couple of high-level interactions. Our External Affairs Minister and Foreign Minister Sikorski had met on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference in February. And Poland's Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs, Władysław Bartoszewski, had visited India the same month. If we look at interactions in the recent years, then External Affairs Minister had visited Poland in 2019, and the then Foreign Minister of Poland, Zbigniew Rau, had visited India in 2022. The chairperson of India-Poland Parliamentary Friendship Group, Ms. Kinga Gajewska, had visited India in 2021. There are also regular Foreign Office consultations between India and Poland, and the 10th round of such consultations was held in Warsaw in December 2022. The Indian Council for World Affairs, ICWA, and the Polish Institute for International Affairs conduct a regular strategic dialogue, and its 9th session was held in Warsaw last year. If we look at the institutional mechanisms for economic cooperation, then there is a Joint Committee on Economic Cooperation, JCEC, which met in Warsaw in 2022 for its 6th session. And a big Indian business delegation had also visited Poland during that year. Now, all these interactions provide a glimpse of the range and the scope of our engagement with Poland, which is an important partner for India in Central Europe. Poland has the 6th largest economy within the European Union, and Poland will hold the next presidency of the Council of the European Union. Poland is currently the chair for the Visegrad Group. Our bilateral trade is substantial, and this makes it's of the order of $6 billion, which makes Poland India's largest trading partner in Central and Eastern Europe. Indian investments into Poland are estimated at around $3 billion, and the Polish investments into India are around $1 billion. A number of Indian companies have active business presence in Poland, and they are engaged in a range of sectors, from IT to pharmaceuticals to manufacturing to farm vehicles to electronics, steel, metals, and chemicals. Nearly 30 Polish companies have business presence in India, and some of them have manufacturing units, and these relate to, for example, hygiene and sanitary products, cosmetics, metal packaging, waste to energy, and mining. There are direct flights between India and Poland, which commenced in 2019, and this, in a way, is helping the economic and commercial linkages. There is a large Indian community in Poland, estimated at around 25,000. This includes around 5,000 students. You may recall that the government and people of Poland had offered valuable assistance during the Operation Ganga for the evacuation of Indian students from Ukraine. More than 4,000 Indian students were evacuated via Poland during 2022. One of the unique bonds between our countries relates to the time in 1940s during World War II, when more than 6,000 Polish women and children found refuge in two princely states in India, Jamnagar and Kolhapur. As you may be aware, Jam Sahib of Navanagar had provided shelter to more than 1,000 Polish children, and others were offered refuge in Kolhapur. There are long-standing cultural ties between India and Poland, and Indology studies in Poland, Polish universities date back to 19th century. There is respect and appreciation in Poland for Indian culture and spiritual ethos, including yoga and Ayurveda. In Warsaw, Prime Minister Modi will be accorded a ceremonial welcome. In addition to the talks with Prime Minister Donald Tusk, Prime Minister Modi will also call on President Andrzej Duda. Prime Minister Modi will also interact with members of the Indian community, select Polish business leaders, and prominent Indologists. He will also visit memorials that commemorate the very special episodes of Jamnagar and Kolhapur in our shared history, which I just spoke about. This historic visit in this landmark year for India and Polish relations will provide an opportunity for our leaders to review the bilateral partnership and offer guidance on enhancing this cooperation in diverse areas, and also discuss regional and global issues of mutual interest. I will now come to the visit to Ukraine. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi will undertake an official visit to Ukraine later this week on Friday, 23rd August, at the invitation of President of Ukraine, His Excellency Volodymyr Zelensky. This also is a landmark and historic visit, since this will be the first time that an Indian Prime Minister will be visiting Ukraine in more than 30 years since the diplomatic relations were established between our countries. The visit will build upon the recent high-level interactions between the two leaders. As you know, Prime Minister Modi and President Zelensky had met only a couple of months ago in June this year in Apulia, at the sidelines of the G7 summit. They had also met last year in Hiroshima on the margins of the G7 summit. And they had earlier met in Glasgow on the sidelines of COP in 2021. The two leaders have also had multiple telephone conversations during the last 4 years. There have been other recent regular high-level exchanges between India and Ukraine. Less than 6 months ago, in March this year, the Foreign Minister of Ukraine, His Excellency Dmytro Kuleba, had visited India when he held discussions with our External Affairs Minister. Last July, we had Foreign Office consultations in Kiev. And in April last year, the then first Deputy Foreign Minister of Ukraine, Her Excellency Emin Shaparova, had visited India. There have been other interactions as well in recent months. A Ukrainian business delegation had participated in the vibrant Gujarat Global Summit in January this year. A consular dialogue in virtual format was also held this year. The Joint Working Group on Science and Technology held its most recent meeting in June last year. The upcoming visit of Prime Minister Modi to Ukraine will provide an opportunity to hold discussions on the entire gamut of bilateral relations, ranging from economic and business linkages, agriculture, infrastructure, health and education, pharmaceuticals, defense, culture, and people-to-people ties. This landmark visit, of course, takes place against the backdrop of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, which will also form part of discussions. As you are aware, India has consistently advocated for diplomacy and dialogue to reach a negotiated settlement. India had attended the Summit on Peace in Ukraine hosted by Switzerland in June this year. You may recall that more than 18,000 Indian students who were studying in Ukraine were evacuated during 2022 under Operation Ganga with the help of Ukrainian and other authorities. India has provided several consignments of humanitarian assistance to Ukraine since March 2022. Financial assistance for reconstruction and refurbishment of a school, and also for training of teachers from 3 different schools has also been provided. Further initiatives are also under consideration. At this stage, for obvious reasons, we are not in a position to discuss in detail the individual elements of the program of the visit, and we request your understanding on this. Information about these elements and the actual discussions between the leaders will be shared with you upon the conclusion of the visit. This is an important visit that is expected to catalyze our ties in a whole range of sectors. Thank you.
So with that, we open the floor for questions. We start here then. Ayushi.
Sir, good evening. This is Ayushi Agrawal from ANI. I have 2 questions, one related to Poland and other to Ukraine. During the Prime Minister's visit to Poland, what can we expect in terms of defense announcements? Second, when the Prime Minister visits Ukraine, will there be any talks related to ceasefire and mediation from the Indian side, since there has not been any breakthrough? Does India have any plans to narrow the gap and bring the parties on the same page when Prime Minister visits Kiev? Thank you.
Okay. Snesh.
So Snesh Philip from the print. So what is the big takeaway that we're looking in Ukraine? And are we also proposing a peace plan initiative, just like how other countries like China has done?
Pranay.
सर प्रणय उपाध्याय अमर उजाला से। प्रधानमंत्री जिस समय यूक्रेन जा रहे हैं, इस समय हालात और नाजुक हुए हैं। सुरक्षा के लिहाज से क्या हमने रशियन साइड को भी इन्फॉर्म किया है प्रधानमंत्री की इस यात्रा के बारे में?
Uma.
Sir, I'm Huma Siddiqui from the Financial Express. I have 2 questions. In Poland, what exactly would the discussions be related to in the sector of defense? And you said that in Ukraine also there will be talks about defense. So what are we going to talk in Ukraine about defense, if you can specify that?
Okay, first we'll have these questions and then answers for these, and then we'll come back for more.
So, I think one question was on defense cooperation. So on Poland, the defense cooperation, it goes back a long time. And we have an agreement on defense cooperation that was signed in 2003. And this provides for consultations in a joint working group format. India has recently reopened the defense wing at the embassy in Warsaw. And various opportunities for collaboration continue to be explored with Poland and in the realm of defense cooperation. The next question was, you had another question about the
Defense.
Sorry.
Defense. What?
Yes. So defense is one aspect of the multifaceted partnership and relations that we have with Ukraine, and this will also be part of discussions. So it is hoped. It is expected, but beyond that, at this stage, I think it will not be proper for me to comment on the specifics. There was a question on peace plan. On that, I would like to say that India has maintained a very clear and consistent position that diplomacy and dialogue can resolve this conflict, and which can lead to enduring peace. So dialogue is absolutely essential. Lasting peace can only be achieved through options that are acceptable to both parties, and it can only be a negotiated settlement. On our part, India continues to engage with all stakeholders. Prime Minister Modi has had conversations with leaders of both Russia and Ukraine, as you know, and Prime Minister had also visited Russia recently. India is willing to provide all possible support and contribution required to help find peaceful solutions to this complex issue. And at this stage, it is not for us to anticipate or prejudge what the outcome of these discussions will be between the leaders of India and Ukraine.
Thank you. We'll have more questions. Sudhi and Dinakar. आपका सवाल था.
You had asked about
Whether Russia has been informed about that because of the escalations.
I think we have a substantive and independent engagement with both Ukraine and Russia, and I will leave it at that.
Sir, Shudhi Ranjan from Bloomberg here, sir. So just wanted a clarification. If you could give us an understanding, since when has Prime Minister's Ukraine visit been under the plans? Because we have seen reports that say that, or indicate or allege that Prime Minister is visiting Ukraine to balance India's relationship with the West. And we've also seen reports about the United States expressing concern after or during Prime Minister's visit to Russia.
Sir, Dinakar Perry with the Hindu newspaper. A question on Ukraine. So you mentioned about the humanitarian assistance we have given to Ukraine in the past, and Ukraine has been asking for more assistance in terms of medical and other avenues. So can we expect some definitive announcements in the visit on this aspect?
Sir, Times Now. First of all, when the three ministers in recent times have come from Ukraine, beginning with Zaparova right up to Kuleba, all three have spoken about India's involvement in reconstruction efforts in the future. Now, is that issue going to come up? Because this is clearly a multi-billion-dollar issue. Secondly, many important ministers in different parts of the world, Brazil, for instance, the foreign minister of Brazil, which is part of BRICS, like Russia and India, have said that since India has good ties, as you also correctly mentioned, with the West and with Russia, India could play a more important role in the bringing of peace. Of course, we have said dialogue is important and there has to be diplomacy and all that. Now, is this visit a step in that direction?
This is Manas from PTI. As you said, the visit is taking place at a time when we have seen renewed global efforts to diffuse the crisis in Ukraine. So what are the big focus of Prime Minister Modi's, as you described, landmark visit to Kyiv? Because there has been expectation that, in fact, India will play a significant role in addressing the conflict and to find some way out to find a solution. So is Prime Minister Modi going to focus on resolving the conflict? That is what the global community expects him to also focus on. Thank you.
Sir, my name is Evgeny Pakhomov, TASS, Russian news agency. So my question is, what's the Indian position of Ukraine's attack on Russian Kursk region? And will this issue be discussed during the talks? Thank you.
Is a question related to the questions?
Hi, Aishwarya Iyer, CNN. What message does this visit send to Moscow at a time when Ukraine is occupying Russian territory? And two, does the government anticipate signing any defense and security agreements with Ukraine during this visit?